do it.
What's up, guys? Today we have from South Africa, Hadeez, and her street brand, New Levels, New Devils. Sai, do you want to tell us some more?
Yeah, bro. Other than the fact that she has 6 different nationalities, showing how diverse she is as a person, she also talks about how she fights for sexual abuse, and she also has created her own brand and told us about her marketing strategies and how she uses this brand to fight for her cause, and also the responsibilities of large brands in these causes, because basically that's what it is all about, fighting for the what's right.
Now, yeah, that was an awesome episode. Totally loved it. Check it out. See you later. Look at that. So, 315 of A to the show, and we're now in South Africa with Hadeez. How's it going? Welcome to the podcast. Nice to meet you. Yes.
So having me.
Awesome. Well,
It's great to have you here.
it's great to have you. When we first started off, I asked you, is your name Hadeez, and is that the devil? And you said, yeah, it's Hades, but it's not the devil. So why do people confuse it? And what is Hades?
It's different cultures, so it's
Okay.
not necessarily the devil, but it is the lord of the underworld and the keeper of the lost souls. So he's not necessarily evil, he's actually doing a good deed by keeping the lost souls locked away so that they're not roaming around and causing havoc.
Wouldn't
Right.
you usually try to set them free?
What?
Like
They're
like
good,
their souls, you're not supposed to just like trap them. They're
but they're
supposed to
not
go.
good. They're
Oh,
not
The bad souls, the
Oh,
guys who go
good.
to
The
hell,
evil ones.
pretty much.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, New Levels, New Devils. Where did that name come from?
Okay, so it's got nothing to do with Satanism.
Sorry. I know, it's strange. Yeah,
Ali,
sorry.
you're going down the rabbit hole, man. You're starting. It's like next thing you're gonna ask her, is she a cult leader or something?
I'd
New
love to be
levels.
one.
New Levels, New Devils. Yeah.
Okay,
What's that?
so
What? Yeah, go ahead.
means basically, if you look at it this way, the more successful or the more talented you are, like reaching new heights, you're always going to be confronted with obstacles, with haters, and that's what your new devils are.
Wow.
So it's like a cute phrase, you know.
I like that. I like it. Level on up and then double on up. Also, have you experienced that in your own life? Because you founded your own company, New Devils, right? And you've gone through a lot of growth. Have you had to face new devils with your new levels?
Yes, I feel like I'm constantly facing new levels. Just like me going to LA, for instance, got accepted to a new school, doing my master's program, then COVID hits and I had to come back home and put that shit on pause. So
Yeah.
that on its own is a new devil. And I think we experience this all the time, whether it's little, whether it's large, like there's always going to be these obstacles that maybe make us feel demotivated and stuff. So basically what New Levels, New Devils is about is just to remind you that, you're doing good, you're doing well, you're achieving, like carry on. So, yeah.
Wow.
Something I want to go over is, okay, so you mentioned that earlier before the recordings, that you kind of have 6 different nationalities, like in a sense, and so which one do you feel like you're most related to?
I've actually never had anyone ask me this question, and I've always wanted to.
Let's do it.
Really?
Awesome.
I guess
Yes.
that's why they have me on the podcast. Gotta ask these weird questions.
Yes.
Nice
I
one,
love
Sai.
it.
Nice one.
So I definitely identify myself as a person of color. My mom is white, and I did grow up with my mother, but because like in South Africa, just like history of the apartheid, it's like even
Yeah.
if you're polite, they know when you're not white, right? So they'll make you feel like you're not, well, at least the schools that I went to, because I went to good schools. So it was always like, like it was very competitive, and then also mostly
White
white
schools?
dominated. Yes. So then it was like, oh, you can't sit with us because you're not white, or what color are your parents, or
Yeah, I'm sorry you have to go through that. I always thought South Africa was one of the more progressive places in Africa, and from what I
it
hear from
is
you,
different,
yes, I see. Yeah.
but it's schools, right? So like even if you, for instance, if you light skinned and you want to wear braids, they won't let you. So like it's so, yeah, because they're like, well, you're not black. But like in America, there's that one drop rule. So it's like very different. It's like, okay, one drop rule, you're black. Boom. In South Africa, it's not like that. If you mixed race, you're not considered black. You're considered colored. So like there's a different like level. So there's black, there's white, there's colored, there's Indian, there's Chinese, whatever. But if you're not fully black, you're not black. So there's all
Okay.
these different.
And what's the
like,
difference in the treatment between the two?
Well, I'm lucky to say that, like besides for school, I live in the modernized South Africa. So of course you, like anywhere, you're gonna get racism, but honestly the racism in America is much worse.
Okay.
In all honesty. But what's a crazy like statistic is that 8% of South Africans are white, but they hold most of the wealth in South Africa.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They're
Yeah.
only 8% of the population.
8%. So like one
And
of the smallest.
they have all the wealth, and do they also have a lot of power, like
Yes.
in the
A lot.
government and like wealth power?
The thing is, the government, so after the apartheid ended, that's when Nelson Mandela became president. So from then, we've been having black presidents. But the thing is, they are definitely like the more powerful people are the white people, and they kind of like behind closed doors, like puppeteering. Like, they hold the money, they
The lobbyists, basically.
Exactly. So all like in all the biggest corporations, most of them have white CEOs and that type of stuff. So they do work together, but it's definitely, you can definitely see this racial disparity in South Africa via wealth and via areas and schools. So yeah.
And are you trying through your fashion to address any of these injustices or these stories and share your own story? And how do you do that through fashion?
Definitely. So because we're an urban streetwear brand, like we're very minimal based. So what we wanted to do is kind of have more of like a story, because we have such a powerful name. Like it's not just like my name, like Hadeez or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we have a powerful name. So right now we do a lot of push towards like social justice, like promotion and that type of stuff, awareness. And we're working on a project now called the Self-Tape Project, which is going to address various issues like depression, narcotic abuse, alcohol abuse, sexual assault, and that type of thing. But it's going to be very cozy in a sense where it's a self-tape. So people are going to send in their stories, and then we're going to edit them and maybe have like people on an episode talking about their experiences under the umbrella of sexual assault. That's going to be our second episode. So that's the kind of the direction that we want to push towards. And South Africa also has the highest gender-based violence in the world and the highest reported rape cases in the world. So me being a sexual assault victim, I want to make a change. I have a brand. A lot of brands kind of just want to be like, oh, we have some involvement in the community, but it's not really hands-on. If they take one day out and they go help the community, yeah, that helps. But in the greater scheme of things, what is that actually doing? Or if they're donating, okay, cool, but it's very hands-off. We want to be hands-on. We are a brand kind of for the people, for the youth. And this is stuff that people experience all the time, men and women, various issues. So we do want to have a push towards that. We want to be powerful. We want to kind of, create our own lane and make it a safe space for people to talk about these things, because it's so often that people experience these things and they don't speak about it. So,
and you mentioned like a safe space. Usually when I imagine safe space, I imagine safe spaces are places where difficult conversations don't happen because people want to be safe and they have past issues and they don't want to even talk about them. But you are saying, no, we should stand up and talk about these issues, even if it makes us uncomfortable, right? Why is it so important for us to address these uncomfortable topics?
Because a lot of people, even if we speak on the topic of rape right now, a lot of people experience this. They don't know who to go to. They don't know how to take legal action. They don't want people to know. They feel embarrassed. They feel alone. And the fact is, there's so many people that are going through this right now. And in actual fact, I got a message from a girl before this podcast saying, listen, Hadeez, I just got raped from an artist that I know.
Yeah.
These are things that are happening in our community all over the world, whether we turn a blind eye or not, they're there. So what we also want to do with our tape is that if people want to share their story and they don't want their face or their name to be there, that's fine. We'll have an actor come in and speak on their story, or we'll just blur their faces or whatever. But we want people to know that these things exist and there are other people that are going through it, and we care. Because social media is so superficial, and everyone has this wonderful life and all these brands are like pushing this luxury look, and yeah, that is cool, but everyone else is doing that. So let's just kind of like change gears a bit and go a different direction. And
I have to commend you for this movement that you're doing.
I think it's awesome.
It is an important point, because you basically support the people who don't have a voice and to basically do speak up. And something that you mentioned that basically triggered something for me, caught my eye, was that South Africa has the highest reported rape cases. Is that what it was?
Reported.
Okay, yeah. So that's the thing that I wanted to highlight on, is like it's reported. So the fact is there is progress in that point, that people are speaking up about it, because we have a lot of countries where the rape cases might not seem as much as maybe how in South Africa would show, but that's because there isn't as much reporting of these cases. People are not talking about them, or they're too afraid to talk about it. And the fact that in South Africa they are doing that, that's great, because that's how you basically create this safe environment that you guys were talking about. It's through the culture, through the people. They have to speak up to be able to, no matter the law enforcement, how it's going. The more the people speak about it and go public about this matter, the more movement or actions will be taken to basically support the case.
The only thing in South Africa is that you can report a case and then they won't do anything about it.
Really?
Because it takes so long to take things to court and to take that, it just gets thrown out most of the time. Or there are definitely people, depending on what type of area you live in, and these are reported cases. Imagine in underdeveloped communities where they don't report it, how much of that is going on. And it's just people will call and be like, hey, I've been raped, and then they'll take your information, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
A guy that people know got accused of rape and got out, 500 Rand bail. 500 Rand is not even $50.
Oh,
wow. That's he's just getting off easy.
And the thing is, because the police are so corrupt, you can just slip them some money and then they won't even attend to the case. You have to be on it and be like, I want this, I want justice. And so many times when you're a victim, you just want it to go away. So
it's not.
But that's the thing with people who have, for example, big names who eventually do go down for rape cases. For example, we heard in the US, for example, Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein and other big names that do go down because people speak up, and then there's a bunch of other people who follow in and they also speak up and they cause pressure. The point of speaking up and reporting these cases is not only to in a sense, let law enforcement do the job, but to put pressure on the legal forces to see, like, okay, no, we probably should do something, because like it's going crazy. It's way out of bounds.
Yeah, I think so. Yes. I do want to comment and say, I think some men are really cowardly, and it's really sad that a lot of women have to go and deal with stuff like this, because it's really unfortunate that it's because it's the men
We
who do
got
it in
some
the first
sick men,
place. The men who do it in the first place, and they need to be reprimanded for what they do, or else they're just going to keep doing it because they think they're king of the world. So you got to stop them and then punish them pretty much, and so that people don't do it again. And it's important we talk about these things, because it's also cowardly on top of just being sick and psycho. I do want to say, I feel like topics like these, as you say, are hard to talk about, and usually, as you say, like, Instagrammers more go towards luxury things and lifestyle and hotel, and look at a great life we live. And is this part of your like marketing strategy to talk about these stories that we don't talk about? Do you think it's going to be harder for you to get to some of the heights of these clean luxury fashion brands, or do you think you have an advantage because you're different?
We're not a luxury brand. We're
Sorry.
street.
All right, sorry.
I know. No, I think that's powerful on its own, because we are a streetwear brand. And for so many years, streetwear was kind of like looked down upon, and only now are luxury brands like Fendi and Gucci and all of these trying to kind of be involved with streetwear, right? Yeah. But streetwear comes from street culture, and shit happens in street culture, right? So it's kind of just like even going back to hip hop from the 80s and the 90s, that's where street culture was born, right? And that was even if you compare the music and what they're talking about to now, you go from drug dealers to drug abusers. It's a whole different ball game, but it still comes and stems from problems and issues, right? So yes, it is part of our marketing technique, but not in a nefarious way, where it's like, right, like we just, trying to be this different or whatever. It's not like that at all, because I've always wanted to create a kind of charity. I also wanted to create a wellness center for abused women and children. So that's always been my idea before I even started my brand. And I started my brand with my ex-boyfriend, and we got into domestic violence disputes. I went through the rabbit hole, like in the darkest place ever. And anyways, I fought for my company, got my company, and I was like, wait, I can turn this around, right? Like, I'm an independent woman, I'm an entrepreneur, I've been through this shit. How many other women have been through this shit? He tried to take the company from me, I got it back, I fought for it. And I'm like, okay, cool. That might be a dirty story, and maybe a story that people are like, oh, it's messy, right? But okay, cool, it's messy, but it's powerful. So how can I turn my story around and make it a thing where people are like, yo, like, it's possible. So many people are going to like get assaulted, or they get hit or whatever in these domestic violence cases, and they give up, or they're stuck there for years and they don't have any way to like get out. If you have someone who speaks about it, who openly speaks about it and shows you that it's possible, it's gonna change your mindset little by little. And it's at this age around where our target market is around like 16 to around 28, maybe 30s. That's the time where most of the stuff starts happening. Whether it's getting involved with drugs, whether it's alcoholism, whether it's getting in fucked up relationships, whether it's, getting assaulted because you're going to clubs and you're going to parties and all this shit starts happening. Like, a lot of this happens when you're younger. So it's like a lot of people know about this, but they're not really aware. Like,
right.
Okay, they know it exists, but they're not really aware of the repercussions, of the consequences of what it feels like, until they're in that position, and now everyone's too scared to talk about it because it's not glamorous.
Wow. Yeah, it's true. We got to talk about these things, and it's good that we are talking about these things and highlighting them. Sometimes some brands, I will say, do it in a nefarious way. I feel like we've all seen the past couple of years where sometimes some brands attach a cost to them just because of marketing, because it's trendy and stuff, and you don't see the intentions are real, and they're not actually doing anything to actually make a change other than a statement that isn't really real. So what is the difference, do you think, between like truthful like advocacy and this fake kind of brand advocacy?
Well, I'm a sexual assault victim myself, right? So immediately that takes it away from, you know, like what a lot of brands are doing is now they want to be more involved with the LGBTQ when before they didn't want to be, right? So it's like, I'm a sexual assault victim myself. I've been a victim of many things. Actually, I don't even want to call myself a victim, a survivor of many things. And I care about my models and my partner as well. She cares about everything. So it's not just like, oh, you know, we're just going to do this because this is a way, you know, for us to be different. It is a way for us to be different, but it's also a way for us to help. A lot of these companies, they're not really helping because, like I said, they're not hands-on. They're not really involved. Like you can go and, you know, be in the community for one day and then the community goes back to how it was, right? But if you make a statement and you're powerful and you kind of have a movement where people start thinking differently, like we have posts, I just posted, I think 3 weeks ago on depression, because last month it was Mental Health Awareness Month. So I posted a whole post of things that like actually help, because a lot of even these companies or these charities or whatever on Instagram will post these posts to bring awareness that are so shitty and don't give you anything. You're like, what am I reading? Like,
thank you.
What, like, okay, it's cute little graphics, like there's like foundations, okay, cool. And then, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, how do I do this? How do I change this? You know, because I'm also a person who suffered with suicidal thoughts in my teenage years. So I'm like, cool. Wrote down tips that helped me. It might not help everyone, but it might help. Tips for anxiety, tips to help a friend and recognize signs, how to recognize signs that perhaps you are depressed, things that you can do, things not to do, you know, so it's more like active and more involved, because I've never once like seen any of these posts being like, listen, you know, it's listening to sad music, as little as that may seem, when you're depressed, is actually so detrimental, because now you're listening to someone else dealing with their demons.
Yep.
And now you're like,
right.
Oh, I relate. And then now you're in this like pool of darkness that you think you relate to this artist, and now you just,
that's true.
You're stuck listening to
You're stuck, it's a loop. And your thoughts are just in a loop, and it's not really good, and leads you down a place that's not reality. Something
much. We've discussed with previous guests is like the responsibility of the artist for towards his community or towards his culture about general causes or cases. But now that we're talking about brands and big names, so I want to give an example of Zara. They had a lead designer basically just mock or like completely attack this Palestinian model for Zara as well, and like I don't know I forgot exactly what she said, but she said some very rude and awful things about Palestine and basically in support of Israel, and we all know what's going on there. And basically Zara didn't say anything to stop the issue or an apology or anything of the sort. They gave this very low maintenance apology, which was not exactly accepted because it was just terrible. So I wanted to ask you on your perspective on what is the brand's responsibility towards these global cases. Should they get involved, or should they not directly, be involved in these cases? Should they stay neutral?
That is such a difficult question.
What should Zara do? Yeah, right?
That is such a difficult question, because brands on that type of level have so many different customers from different countries, from different cultures, different religions, right? That I think for them to get so deeply involved in maybe one side, they fear that they're going to lose their customers. They don't care about the people. They care about money.
For
right?
sure.
So
yeah.
At the end of the day, it depends on, what is the core value of your company. If your core value is just to make money, then they should stay neutral, right? Because then you're not upsetting anyone as much. Like if you take one side, then you're upsetting another party. So in order to make the most money and maximize your profits, you have to stay neutral. But if you are a brand that has a voice and speaks strongly on something specific, then you have to kind of you faced with the moral dilemma, right? As to, okay, yeah, I might lose potential customers and money, but these are the values of my company and my brand, and this is what I'm going to stand up for and speak up against. So it really just depends, I think, on where the values of the brand come in.
Right.
And what would you do if you were in Zara's case for this specific situation?
I mean, I would have definitely not given a low. I mean, I'm such an activist. You know what I'm saying? I would have definitely not given such a low maintenance apology and taken some sort of action. I don't know the details in specific as to what exactly went down, but I wouldn't let that happen.
All right.
If it was.
It's awesome that we're talking about all these deep activist topics, and I do want to talk about fashion in a bit, but I do want to ask you a bit about when earlier you said I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor. I feel like a lot of people listening to this might benefit from what you have to say on why is it important to take, because a lot of people experience a lot of traumas and a lot of bad things happen to women, but also everyone. And why has it been a journey for you to switch your mindset from victim to survivor, or what does that mean?
So just to give a little quick story, I grew up very poor and in the hood, right? And you kind of get this victim mentality, right? Especially if your life changes and you're going now to, a different kind of lifestyle, school, whatever, you're like, oh, I'm from the hood, they're going to treat me this way because I'm this, you kind of play dead and you play victim. But at some point you have to take control of your life. Shit happens. You know what I'm saying? People go through things, people experience things or whatever. And the moment you continue being in this victim mentality, you're never going to grow and heal. Right? You need to be you need to accept what you've gone through. And you're yeah, well, shit, I accept it and move on. And that's what makes you survive. If you're gonna sit and wallow, oh, this shit happened to me, oh, this happened, you're never gonna get over it. And then your past is definitely gonna define you.
Yeah.
All right.
It's definitely something important to change that mindset away from the victim mindset, because basically you stagnate. If you don't take action by yourself, no one's going to do it for you. And even if there are people who are willing to help you, it's not like they're going to easily find you so that they can help you. You have to kind of help them in their search to aid your case. It's whatever the case be, whether you're wrongfully incarcerated or you're a sexual assault victim or anything of the sort. You kind of have to put yourself in a situation where you can either receive help or take action for yourself, because I mean, life is basically not easy. It's full of shit. You're gonna go through shit. It's what you do. What's your reaction towards adversity is what builds your character.
100%.
Yeah, well said. And I want to know with you, Hadeez. So, some artists start off, they have something they want to say, and they learn the art to express themselves. And some people just love the art, whether music or film or fashion, and then they adopt their character and build up on it. So what came first for you?
Okay, so I had my strong character, right? But I'm learning every day, and kind of just like I said, with my brand, it's not just about me, you know, it's about my partner, it's about my models. So, you know, over the course, you know, things change and be more accepting to other things and differences and whatever. So at first, definitely I already had my character established, but growing every day and want to appeal to different markets, different people, markets that are neglected. So that obviously then becomes a part of us.
Oh, wow. And then what about, I'm talking about much earlier on when you were a young Hades.
Oh,
Yes. Were you more into the fashion or the
oh,
modeling or
that's right.
or were you just running around protesting and advocating?
I'm dead. No, I was more, I always liked fashion, but like I was more into, I like fashion, but I was more into modeling,
I
right?
see.
So started modeling and then ended up with like a stylist boyfriend who was like really cool, and like I was like, hey, this is really cool, you know, like kind of getting into it. And then I was like, okay, but I don't really want to be a stylist, right? I want to be a model, carry on modeling. Then I'm like, okay, this is cool, this is fun, but like I feel like there's something missing. But because I'm in this industry and learning so much about different things, about fabrics, about music videos, about whatever, you know, different type of clothing, different type of people, whatever. And I'm like, okay, you know, like let's, you know, try this thing. But at the back of my head, let's try this thing. And then I was kind of just giving a conversation to someone, and I just said in conversation, new levels, new devils. And they were like, damn, put that shit on a shirt. Of it becoming like a brand. Like, was like, oh, okay. Put it on a shirt. Then everyone's like, yo, like, what is that brand? Like, yeah.
That shit's fire, yeah.
Exactly. And like went to the club and like everyone was like, what is that? And I was like, yeah, there's a market for this. So it started by mistake. And then I'm like, damn, maybe 3 months into it, I'm like, I don't think I was ready to start a company.
It just came on by itself, basically. It all fell apart. All the pieces came together by itself.
Exactly.
Something that I noticed about you is that you seem very, you know, relaxed and stoic when you're talking. Although people who would be fighting for, you know, the cases that you were talking about would come off as maybe more eager, you know, more energy, hyped up and stuff. But going through your adversity, how have you been able to stay, you know, laid back with your speech and not, you know, being maybe very too defensive or too aggressive when you talk about these cases? Because actually, the stoic, the relaxed approach is a much more, you know, for me, it's a much more, it's a better approach. That's what I'm going to say.
I had to learn to be that way. I was very aggressive and very like, you don't listen to me, like this is me, this is what I had to say, this is my experiences, this is whatever. The fact is, people don't really receive that. They're not really receptive to that. Like you can be angry and it's kind of like you performing and going on, that you almost don't sound as credible. All right, it's like, damn, like get it together, you're unstable, right? No one kind of cares about an unstable person, right? So it's like if you speak with being stoic, being patient, getting your point across, whether they agree with it or not, they are still more inclined to listen to you because you're coming with a calm approach.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, carry on.
No, I was just gonna say, like, a point that I've noticed is like the more you try to convince someone of your perspective, the less inclined they are to be convinced. So like, that's just something I wanted to mention. So if you could continue what you were saying.
Yes.
You know, I'm always on Instagram like going off, right? But then it's like I'm kind of like, I don't need to respond to anyone, right? So they can not agree with what I'm saying. I don't care because I'm saying what I'm saying, right? At the end of the day. But if you're going to have a conversation with someone and you want them to be receptive to what you're saying, you have to be calm. And people are going to do a lot of shit and say a lot of shit to piss you off, you know, and, you know, you're going to like be so angry that you're not actually going to get your point across. Like you're going to forget certain points or certain things that need to be said because you're so angry. And then now it's like you're all emotional and you like, you know, all upset and whatever. You're not like, I always realize that like sometimes I get into even debates and then realize that I forget my most important point because I'm so busy being defensive. Right?
Yeah.
It's lost. The power's lost. So
That's deep.
yeah, definitely something that's learned.
Wow, you gotta keep learning. I want to also know. So, what about the marketing? Was it easier for you to know the business side? Are you a natural like entrepreneur, businesswoman, or did it take a lot of learning for you to become smarter marketing?
Honestly, I took an international business undergrad, and I came out knowing absolutely nothing. Like I know a bunch of terms, like that's awesome. Like I'm like so easy to understand that you don't even need to really even read into them. But then when you actually go in practical and you actually go into business, like it's hard. Like it's not like the textbooks like at all. Like they make it seem so whatever. So there's definitely a lot of learning and growing like each day, because like I said, it's not a textbook. Every company is different. You know, so cool, they can give you some flashy terms and that's cool, but at the end of the day, like when you have a brand with a market that's so overly saturated, like what are you gonna do? Like there were times like outside the club, like open my car, like the trunk of my car, selling shirts, and I'm like, fuck, you know, like there are lots of people here, let me take advantage of this. But that's hard because people are like gonna be like, yo, what the hell is she doing? Like, you know, like look down on you, whatever, but you need to be aggressive and what you believe in. Like, this is what I believe in. And it's not like I can just go into Macy's and be like, hey, stop my clothes. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, definitely.
like, they're gonna be like, what the hell? So definitely a lot of guerrilla marketing and just doing things that is just different and cool. And like a lot of the times also it's like, yeah, I'm a student. Like I don't have that like immense funding, you know, to like push things to the max. So I have to find other ways.
Is it more fun?
Sorry, go ahead, Ani.
Is it more fun to do guerrilla marketing as opposed to like the traditional form of marketing? Do you feel like you're doing something different and cool?
I think so. I think it's fun.
Yeah. No, I think so too. I think because it's like everyone has an advantage and a disadvantage, right? All these like huge companies, they have the advantage of a lot of money, but they have the disadvantage that they can't be guerrilla and go and do things like open up, you know, a car in different places and sell shirts and just interact with people. I think the new generation of all of us, right, podcasters and artists and musicians, like because of the internet, we're way more guerrilla and reaching people one at a time. And I think it's the future of marketing. I don't know if you have any thing else to say about why is like streetwear the most fashionable fashion right now?
Why is the most? Is it? I don't know. I think that's
it's a growing trend, that's for sure.
It is a going trend because of social media.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Especially with online shopping as well.
Exactly. And the thing is it's I mean, you get so many different types of streetwear. You get the more like Asian streetwear that's more like ninja, very
Techwear. Yeah, I love that.
Techwear is awesome, to be honest.
You said what?
It's called techwear, right?
Yes. So I love that. So like cool. I'm always like, as much as I can be so different and so crazy, like wear an off-white belt across my neck and like, you know, that's my shit. But then other people are like very chill and very minimal. It's very like casual, you know, in a sense. It's loungewear almost, right? So I like that there's such an array of like differences in streetwear. And even streetwear in the US is different to streetwear in Europe or streetwear in Asia. Like, you know, the Asians are more like out there, and then the Europeans are very more simple, and they kind of mix it with a little bit of 90s, you know, a little bit of 90s drip there, and that's cool. And then America's more like hip hop. So I like that it can, like, anyone can wear it and it's not gonna be like weird, you know, and you can just do so much with it. Like, you can dress up, you can dress down, you know, depending on how you match your shoes or what accessories you have. Like, you can, you know, you can look really classy or you can look really hood.
Or both at the same time somehow.
Right,
Like,
classy, good, and comfortable. What? Yeah,
luxury hood now.
Three words the best, honestly, right? All right.
Something I wanted to go over about that, where you said you did your bachelor's in business, and you felt like you didn't learn anything from it. So something that I mentioned before on the podcast is that the education system is basically it's teaching you how to conform to society so that you can work for corporations. So,
savage, Saeed, damn. Yeah.
So in a sense, the people who don't like that system, for me, I would consider them, and I would put myself in that kind of category where we don't like society how it is right now. I would consider, I guess, maybe as rebels. So do you see yourself as a rebel in a sense? And how has that, if yes, how has that helped you in your branding or your marketing schemes or anything in that avenue?
I definitely do consider myself a rebel. I have never even worked in a corporation before.
Yeah.
So,
we're in the same field.
I think also because our generation right now is so aggressive because of social media, and you could just do so much that you couldn't do so long ago. Well, not even so long ago, maybe 10 years ago.
Right.
You know, which is not long at all. So I think because of that, like, I can kind of be wild with my brand. I can do the guerrilla marketing because I don't want to conform. You know, I don't want to just have, even like with the models I choose, I don't want to have the regular, beautiful, you know, like super commercial model, which I will pull in here and there. But
you want to have me and Saeed. Complete opposite. Yeah.
I want the guy with the face tats, you know, I want, you know, that shit is cool.
Does the marker work if I draw my face?
That's good. Yeah.
So I think I get to express being a rebel in my brand. So even like for the launch of our brand, it's a streetwear brand, right? But we introduced like a kind of like a swimwear / lingerie range, which is not really included in streetwear, right? So we did that. And then our activation, I literally said, pretend this is a music video. Like, I got the baddest honeys. Like, they looked so good, they were so bad. And I was like, pretend you're in a music video, but there's no artist. You the artist. It's about you, right? And it was like super sexy, and it was at a villa, and it was different. And it was just like, okay, like, this is different for a streetwear brand. And kind of took that concept from Miami, because I was living in Miami for 5 years, came to South Africa like on my like December vacation. And I was like, let's do an activation like this and make it look like a music video, which no other brand has ever done, right? So that was kind of like, whoa, that's rebellious, that's different. You know, made sure that all the girls were different tones, they looked different, so they could appeal to different people, and made it sexy. And streetwear is not really sexy. So it was like, okay, like, this is different. And then did something else, which was like kind of normal in the sense, but got models that were like, got a model with face tats everywhere, then got a model that just looked like a regular guy, and another Latino model with like long hair. And then we just went around Miami as if they're like getting in the train, you know, going into Little Havana, like stuff that's very like normal, and but like grungy, right?
Yes.
So it's like, okay, cool, you can do, because like I said, rebel, you can do anything, right? You don't, like, you kind of, like, a lot of brands will be very safe with what they promote. I'm so against that. Like, I had another campaign shoot that I did with one of my models, and she was literally in the shower, topless, smoking a cigarette. Like, what? That's weird. Like, but it's like, okay, like, we were kind of doing like
smoking a cigarette in the shower? Wait a second.
We're doing a short story about how we did love, and like, it was like a short video.
Yes,
whatever. She was like, love, thinking about her partner, and then like she came back, whatever, she's going through all these like emotions, she's writing like lipstick on the mirror, and it's like all sad, it's raining outside, she's on the balcony, and then he like knocks at the door, she opens it, and then slams it in his face. So it's like, okay, fuck you for like hurting me and breaking my heart, like I'm over this. But like brands don't do that, because at the end of the day, that whole video wasn't even centered around the brand. The brand was just there. Like it was just the clothes on her floor from the night before. It was just her chilling in the house wearing the brand. It wasn't so much promo for the brand, but for the actual art itself.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like people look at this and they feel moved by it. Like, damn, okay, this is like something I can relate to. And then it's like, okay, but it's also new levels, new devils. And it also...
So it's like you're creating a narrative for the clothesline, for the clothes that you're basically putting in this video, right?
Yes. So every video that we do has like a different voice. Like a lot of brands are very consistent in the message that they spread. For us, it's an art form. Okay, we're gonna be music video Miami sexy with big booties, and then we're gonna be in little Havana grungy, and then we're gonna be sad, depressed, very Tumblr, and like showing that you don't need that shit. So it's always like a change, and then we're just gonna be modelly and like walking in like a grungy area, like doing like a flash mob kind of fashion show. So every time it's like every video that we drop is very, 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 very different to the last.
Wow. I think that's awesome. I think videos are really powerful because you capture that, and you capture the outfits and how they move and how they look, and it's in a story, and people understand it, and it goes into people's brains in a completely different way. I think it's awesome. We're also running out of time. I think what you do is really cool, Hadeez. Yeah, best of luck with all your projects, and hopefully continued success. Same with us, A2 The Show, the most international, educational, entertainment variety
But
podcast.
we have to know the last thing.
Yes.
What is the future for you, Hadeez, and your brand? Actually, what is the future for you also as an individual?
Okay, for me as an individual, obviously gonna carry on being an activist and an advocate. Sometimes I'm not that involved, but yeah. But I'm kind of taking my brand to a different level, making it into a creative agency, and also, so that's the next step, is like making it like a media house, and then also involving that with we're gonna like open a charity for abused women and children in South Africa, and then kind of use like different art forms and stuff to like promote, because a lot of survivors are artists as well, then use our platform and our blog and our page to promote their different artwork, their different music, this and that. So that's the direction that we have, and I am my brand, so you know.
Amazing.
New levels. I am my brand. Great words to go by.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you again.
Thank you guys for watching
the
another
show.
episode. Yeah.
Make sure to check out her links in the description. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up here? Shout out.
I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. You guys are awesome.
Hey.
Let's go. All right. Tuning out. See you later. Adios, amigos. Goodbye.